At 48, I thought I had it all figured out. A stable job as a senior programmer, a family I adored, and a comfortable life. I'd been with the company, a mid-sized tech firm called Innovatech, for nearly 15 years. I was one of the original architects of our flagship software, Aegis, a sophisticated data security platform that was our bread and butter. I knew its code like the back of my hand because, well, I had written most of it. But comfort can breed complacency, and I was about to get a rude awakening. My performance reviews were always stellar. Indispensable, cornerstone of the department, the go-to guy for any Aegis-related crisis. These were the phrases tossed around by my direct managers year after year. I'd mentored dozens of junior developers, put out countless fires during late-night system failures, and consistently delivered updates that kept us ahead of the curve. Yet, my salary hadn't kept pace. It had seen only minor cost-of-living adjustments over the last decade. With my kids approaching college age and inflation eating away at our savings, I knew I had to act. After weeks of rehearsing and gathering data on industry-standard salaries, I scheduled a meeting with our CEO, Cassandra. She was a formidable figure, known for her sharp business acumen and even sharper tongue. She had taken over the company about 5 years ago and had a reputation for being ruthless but effective. I respected her, even if I was a little intimidated. I walked into her sleek, minimalist office, my heart pounding a little faster than usual. I laid out my case calmly and professionally. I detailed my contributions, my loyalty, and the market data supporting my request for an 8% raise. It wasn't an astronomical sum, it would simply bring my compensation in line with my experience and responsibilities. I finished my pitch and waited, hopeful. Cassandra leaned back in her chair, a smirk playing on her lips. Then she let out a short, sharp laugh. It wasn't a warm, friendly chuckle. It was dismissive, cutting. "An 8% raise? For you, Mark?" she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "You're 48. You should be grateful you still have a job in this industry. Tech is a young person's game. You're a legacy employee, part of the old furniture. We keep you around for stability, not for innovation. Your request is denied." I was stunned. The air was sucked out of the room. It wasn't just the no that hit me, it was the sheer contempt in her voice. "Old furniture." The words echoed in my head. 15 years of my life, my dedication, my expertise, dismissed as if I were a dusty old chair in the corner of the office. The smirk on her face told me everything I needed to know. To her, I was obsolete, a relic she was tolerating. I managed to mumble a "thank you for your time" and walked out of her office, my face burning with a mixture of shame and fury. The walk back to my desk felt like a mile. Every cheerful "hey Mark" from a colleague felt like a jab. I sat in my chair, staring at the lines of code on my screen, the very code she had just belittled. And that's when the anger solidified into a cold, hard resolve. "Old furniture," she'd said. "Fine. Let's see how she likes it when the old furniture walks out, taking the blueprints with it." That evening, I didn't go home and complain. I went home and started working. For years, I had been the sole maintainer of the core modules of Aegis. The documentation was notoriously sparse because, frankly, everyone just came to me. The code was complex, a labyrinth of my own design. It was secure, efficient, but also uniquely mine. Over the years, I had also been working on a personal project in my spare time. A next-generation version of Aegis, built from the ground up on a more modern, scalable framework. I called it Aegis X. It was faster, more secure, and had features that Innovatech had only dreamed of implementing. It was my passion project, my vision for what Aegis could become. Until that day, it was just a hobby. Now it was my escape plan. I started polishing Aegis X, pouring all my frustration and expertise into it. I also started discreetly looking at the job market. It didn't take long to find the perfect target. CyberX, Innovatech's biggest and most aggressive rival. They were always nipping at our heels, trying to steal our market share. They were known for being innovative and for valuing top talent, regardless of age. I reached out to a contact I had at CyberX, an old colleague who had jumped ship years ago. I gave him a vague but tantalizing pitch. I was a senior architect from his biggest competitor, and I had something that could change the game. The intrigue was enough to land me a confidential meeting with their chief technology officer. In a discreet coffee shop downtown, I laid out my cards. I explained my situation at Innovatech without sounding bitter, focusing instead on the opportunity. Then, on my laptop, I gave him a live demo of Aegis X. His eyes widened. He saw the potential immediately. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a quantum leap. He asked probing questions, testing my knowledge, and with every answer, I could see his excitement growing. By the end of our coffee, he was practically buzzing. The offer came 2 days later. It wasn't just a job, it was a director-level position. The salary wasn't an 8% raise, it was a 50% increase over my current pay, plus a substantial signing bonus and stock options. They weren't just hiring an employee, they were investing in a vision, my vision. The contract was clear. The code for Aegis X, which I had developed on my own time and on my own hardware, was mine to bring with me. My resignation at Innovatech was a quiet affair. I gave my standard 2 weeks' notice. My direct manager was shocked and tried to convince me to stay, but I was firm. The real fireworks happened when Cassandra got the news. She summoned me to her office again. This time, there was no smirk. Her face was a mask of cold fury. "CyberX?" she hissed. "You're going to our biggest rival?" I just nodded. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse, one that values my experience. "We can counter," she said, her voice tight. "We'll match it. We'll even give you that 8% you wanted so desperately." I almost laughed. "Cassandra, it's not about the 8% anymore. It's about respect. You called me old furniture. Well, this piece of furniture is moving to a house where it's considered a valuable antique, not a piece of junk." Her face went pale as the implication of my words sank in. She knew what I was capable of. She knew I was the gatekeeper of Aegis's secrets, but she still didn't understand the full extent of what was about to happen. My last 2 weeks were surreal. I documented what I could, but explaining 15 years of intricate code in 2 weeks was an impossible task. The junior developers who were supposed to take over looked at my work with wide, terrified eyes. On my last day, I packed my personal belongings, left my keycard on the desk, and walked out without a single look back. I felt a sense of liberation I hadn't felt in years. 3 months later, CyberX announced the launch of Sentinel, their new flagship security platform. It was, of course, my Aegis X, polished and backed by CyberX's formidable marketing machine. The market reaction was immediate and explosive. Sentinel was praised for its revolutionary speed, its user-friendly interface, and its next-level security protocols. It was everything Aegis wasn't. The fallout for Innovatech was catastrophic. Their clients started jumping ship in droves, their stock price plummeted. Without me, their development team struggled to fix bugs, let alone compete with Sentinel's advanced features. They tried to patch Aegis, but it was like trying to put a bandage on a sinking ship. They were trapped in the legacy code that I had built, and that only I truly understood. I heard through the grapevine that Cassandra was in a state of perpetual panic. Innovatech, the company she had run with an iron fist, was crumbling before her eyes. All because she couldn't see the value in the person sitting right in front of her. All because she sneered at a reasonable request for an 8% raise. Today, I'm thriving at CyberX. I lead a team of brilliant, passionate engineers, and my age is seen as an asset, a source of wisdom and experience. We just rolled out Sentinel 2.0, and our market share is bigger than ever. Innovatech is a shadow of its former self, a cautionary tale whispered in the tech world about the cost of arrogance and the danger of underestimating your people. Sometimes I think about Cassandra's laugh. And you know what? I smile. Because that laugh, that single moment of disrespect, was the catalyst that led me to the greatest success of my career. She thought she was putting an old piece of furniture in its place. Instead, she just showed me the door to a palace. Thanks for watching. Remember to value your worth and never let anyone tell you you're obsolete. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.